This is the Fight for Your Health, the show that teaches you how to master the fine art of living your life on purpose and have a longer, healthier, and happier life through the martial arts lifestyle. The show is hosted by Professor Buitron and his co-host, Grand Master Richard Hackworth. These two experts have combined their efforts and are on a mission to make the world a safer, healthier, and happier place through the martial arts lifestyle. Now, to tell it like it is, here are your hosts.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fight for Your Health TV show with our host, Professor Buitron. I'm your co-host, Richard Hackworth. And today we have a topic that is near and dear to the hearts and minds of our particular audience here of martial arts school owners and martial arts business people and martial arts in general. And that is to deal with the stress of being a martial arts school owner. And believe me, this topic, we could cover several shows on this topic alone. So, Professor, would you like to lead us in with your thoughts?
Sure. Number one, I want to wish everybody, I hope everybody's doing well. I know I am, and I know Grand Master Richard is doing well as well. And I want to thank everybody for watching and being tuning in, and also for keeping us in mind, because we know there's a lot of content out there on YouTube. But this is a question that has been brought up: is the stress within martial arts instructors and what goes on with them, and how many of them end up taking that stress home, and all of a sudden you see many of our colleagues all of a sudden start getting into marital problems and all kinds of stuff. And it usually comes with very simple, it's called finances. And how do we deal with that? There's and I agree with Grand Master that there's many facets with this that we can cover for many shows. But I think the main one is, how can we separate the stress with something that we love, and we're doing a vocation that we actually practice as life, but where does that divide? Where to not make that huge division within it? Grandmaster, how would you take that?
Well, I think that finances are stressful for anyone when they're in bad financial situations. And that's the number one cause of divorce in almost every country on the planet, is financial stress. But for martial artists in particular, there is a heartfelt emotional connection to their business. And when COVID came along and took away people's business because they weren't allowed to teach, they weren't allowed to operate their business. And my feeling was, if the government can let Walmart be open, why can't I be open? And those things weigh heavily. And a lot of people I know lost their businesses. And they say that losing a business ranks right up there on the same level of stress as losing a child, because you have that much of your life and emotional commitment tied into it. And it's particularly in the martial arts industry, because they don't come in as part of a franchise with investors. They come in with their life savings, their own commitment, and working day in and day out to help promote it. So they've contributed, I would say a martial arts school owner has contributed 10 times more to opening and operating their business than what somebody does when they open a Dunkin' Donuts or a Speedway gas station franchise, because this is something that we do because it's our passion, it's our purpose. It's not a niche market that we're doing just to make money. And with that being said, as things went down, I could see it around. People quit calling. And I know they quit calling because they were depressed. They didn't feel like they had anything positive to talk about. And particularly in an industry where most of the owners are men seem to bottle up their stress. They don't share as much. Men don't go to counseling. And you see that all the time. Like with women, they'll go get counseling. Men don't. They bottle it up until they have a stroke or a heart attack or something. And they keep struggling. And a lot of times they're cast away as part of the process because the wife, it's funny, the wife's family will always welcome her and those kids back to their home, but rarely would they welcome the husband with them.
Sure.
Everyone in society wants to lay the blame and the responsibility at the feet of the husband when it was the wife who was helping to spend that money, you know? And so it was a hard thing for people to deal with. And I know particularly, I personally know of 2 instructors who committed suicide. They lost their business, then they lost their family and lost their home. And it was more than they could take. And on top of that, one school owner that I was very close to, when things got bad financially, she had never been in that situation before. And when the students couldn't come to class and the students weren't paying, they still had their mortgage payment, their car payments, their insurance. So little by little, this dropped, they dropped their health insurance, they dropped this and they dropped that until there was nothing left to drop. And she couldn't take it anymore and took her own life. And other instructors that I talked to say that when the students didn't come and the media kept scaring them about going to do something that would improve their health, to strengthen their immune system, to help them fight COVID, it just didn't make any sense to me, that there's so much cognitive dissonance that goes on that's perpetuated by the media we called it fear porn. And I know in our state, the governor called it COVID theater. And I have no doubt that COVID exists. A lot of people I know had it, but none of them died. And so it's really hard to look at it and go, oh, look, this many people had it. Yeah, that many people have freckles. That many people had the flu or whatever, And so in dealing with the stress right now, what I'm personally working on through World Martial Arts Marketing is helping to create a group effort so that people aren't all in it by themselves, that they've got people to help them with their social media marketing, their ad design, and all of these things to bring students back. And not necessarily the same ones that you had before who walked out on you, but to bring in new people who are excited about doing it again or whatever. So, and it's been working very well. We test all this stuff at the school, like I was explaining earlier, with our Facebook ads. We're very specific in how we target the ads. And we also are very specific about how we handle new enrollments, because this is the way I look at it. I'm not selling anyone anything. It's not my job to sell. When somebody comes to me, they've already made a decision that they want to do martial arts. That's why they called me. I'm just there to tell them the benefits and let them see why we're a good choice. When somebody calls to order a pizza, whoever picks up the phone doesn't have to convince them that pizza is going to be a good meal tonight, right? They knew that when they called. They knew they wanted pizza. That's why they call. But there's so many people out there that are like, oh man, I'm not good at sales. I'm like, you shouldn't be doing sales. All you're doing is giving people what they called you for. They knew they wanted it when they made that call. So I think a lot of that is just kind of a self-sabotaging mindset for the instructors of feeling like they're being salesy. And I'm like, I don't feel salesy at all. I'm just there to help them understand whatever it is that they still have questions about so that they can get started training.
Absolutely. And you made a lot of great points. Number one, let's go back with the stress level in the martial arts with people committed suicide. I also know several. And I want to, and as you know, we're here in Laredo, Texas, and I want to thank Pilar of Laredo for helping out people in counseling during those times. Because I had a lot of friends that had dance studios, karate studios, boxing gyms that were going in that rabbit hole. And we had, and I saw that and recognized that, and we pulled them out and let's go get some counseling. Let's do this. Let's start doing that, start helping each other out. But folks need to realize that martial arts schools in general, when everybody went into COVID, we still had to pay rent. We still had to pay the electric bill there at the location. We still had to pay for everything else. And a lot of folks, a lot of martial artists frown on the idea of having 3 months agreements or 6 months agreements or a year agreement. But I'm kind of in the old school. If you don't have that, one day you're going to be left by yourself and you're not going to be able to cover anything.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of cover that from that. A lot of us grew up doing martial arts and ended up teaching. So a lot of us we were taught how to do the style, how to fight with the style, how to use it, but we were never taught the business aspects of it. Many out there. So when they go into that, they go in there with their heart, then they have to realize that, there's insurance to be paid, electricity to be paid, and so many other factors that come with that for you to start building up a clientele before your clientele goes in. So for those of you out there, wishing to open up martial arts studio, look it over, study the parameters, study everything that goes on with it, because you've got one shot at it. And and that goes underneath. Now, I also tell this to everybody else: if you're going to be teaching at a park, or if you're going to be teaching out of your house, the instant you start teaching other people, open your doors, you have become a professional martial art instructor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Act as such, in such a way. Now, as you well know, Grandmaster, there's a lot of martial art instructors that become kind of like an uncle, an older brother, the other father, as many say. People come to you, especially students from a long time, and they come to you confiding in you issues that they're going through. It's fine and dandy when that starts happening, but you're also taking in other people's problems. And if you cannot handle your own problem, all you're going to be doing is getting so much on you. And I'm not saying don't listen. I'm not saying that at all. But understand that everybody that comes to you and confides in you, those problems are left with you. And you're thinking about that as well, and upon other things that you're trying to deal with. So try to keep calm and yourself be active. That's what I would say. Be active, go to the gym, do yoga, start another routine, do a routine that you're going to start learning and progressing in to better yourself. Whether it's a new book for marketing, whether it's a new exercise, whatever. Try to do it to calm yourself as that. Always try to keep the mindset as I'm always a student, because that's a great way to continue going in there. Learn from everybody. Go to business classes. If something's going on wrong in your area, try to be part of that community, because that community affects you where you're at.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up about like mentioning the yoga, and it's important to do other types of self-care. But normally when an instructor comes to me looking for help through our services, I tell them that we're going to make a decision together here. The problem is you are one person and you are trying to be five. So today we're going to make a decision that you are going to be a master martial arts instructor, teacher, and I am going to be your marketing director. We're going to get somebody else to be your social media manager, and we're going to get somebody else to be the school custodian. We're going to train somebody to be your school manager, because when the instructor is trying to do all those things, they're capable in all those areas, certainly, but they're not capable of doing it to the full ability that it should be done, because they're also doing all these other things. No person has enough hours in a day to do the job of five. So we divide that up, and I get them, they call me back later, and they're like, making that decision was the best thing I've done since opening my school, because you're right. Nobody can do it all. We know it. We know a lot of it, but letting other people handle those things, he said, I immediately felt such a burden lifted off of me to be able to do this. And I get these similar comments from everybody that I work with, because they're not used to doing these things full time. Whereas we have the resources to not only do it full time, but do it for you at a ridiculously low rate. because a lot of people feel like, well, they're like, well, I can't afford to pay for a social media manager and a marketing manager. And I said, even if that marketing manager was going to triple the number of enrollments you get every month, starting the first month, and I give that almost as a guarantee, because standard in almost every case, the people that I work with that follow the directions and let us handle the little things, we triple their income within 90 days. And more than half of them, we triple their income within 30 days. And when they see how much easier it is on them, and that what they're paying in services actually comes out of what's coming in income, it's not coming out of their pocket anymore. You know, a lot of these guys were paying their school electric bill from their day job paychecks, you know, things like that. And I help them break away from that. I've helped many instructors get to the point where they can afford to put their wife on payroll to have her around to help, as opposed to her working a second job, which also ends up contributing money to the business. And I think that that's the biggest step for people to take, is to know that I can't do it all, and it's okay, because I can delegate these things to people who are going to do it well, and I'm going to benefit hugely from that decision. So my first thing to tell instructors is that if you've got a lot of stress you're dealing with, pass some of it on to other people, because when you lighten the load you're trying to carry, it makes it a lot easier to walk. And that's what we're trying to do with this show, is, you know, inspire people to do self-care, self-help, and improve their lives in every aspect. And if there's anybody watching today that's interested in doing some of that, reach out to me, you know. And I also encourage them to continue with their passion. And like one of the things that I'm going to steal a little bit of thunder from you here, or maybe I'm giving you some thunder, but one of the things that inspired me to go ahead and finish writing this book that I've been working on was seeing you post about your books. And I'm like, you know, here's a guy that, you know, is a friend and a mentor and a brother, and I'm trying to follow his path in this area. And so I just took action, and now it's happening. You know, it's getting ready to go to being published. And so when you have people on your side, whether they're people you hire or mentors or friends, let that help come, and take that advice, make use of it, and everything will get easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And folks, if you guys are having some trouble in your school, how to get more ideas, please reach out to Grand Master Richard Hackworth. Please do so. Please do so. He's one of the main gurus here in the US on that subject matter. He can give you great ideas for you to lift up your school. Listen, when we go into a martial art, or when we start learning, somebody had to teach us how to throw a punch, how to throw a kick. And then after that, if you competed somewhere, you have to have a coach, a second on the corner, telling you what the other person was doing wrong and what you were doing wrong, for you to be able to win that competition or that bout that you were in. So the same thing goes when you have a school. You have to reach out there with others that have been doing it longer and a lot easier to help us reach those goals. And do not be afraid of saying, you know what, I need help with my school. My school is doing not so good right now. And there's something else that you said there that everybody should resonate with everybody. Remember, don't go after those students that left you behind during the pandemic. Those students that just walked out on you and said adios, sayonara, adieu. Let them go. Build a new crew, build some new students that are going to come out there, build some new people that you're going to be training, that you're going to be proud of, and to give back to the community. Continue moving forward, you know. And what's that old saying? Don't cry over spilled milk. I know it's hard to say that, because some of those people might have been with you for a while, but if they left you then, they would have left you at any time. And granted, you know, some of those people might feel embarrassed because they did that, not come back. But if those do come back, you accept them. The doors are always open, but just don't go crying after them. You know,
Right.
continue moving forward on your own path.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in a bit, send me your address because I have something to send you. So,
All right,
and
excellent.
send me your address, and we'll take it from there. And folks, one more time, we want to thank you for watching us. If you have any questions, please leave your comment. In fact, on the comment side, place where you're watching this from. You know what city, like Nashville, Tennessee, or what have you. And we'll say something for you in the next show. These past 2 months, starting this new year, the Tigers started off into a real battle. People were sick, stuff was going on, family members, everybody was coming back into play. So we're back on track, and we're going to start getting this out there. If you have any questions, um, message us. We'll get them. Message us there on Facebook, or leave a comment and ask a question, and we can go ahead with that. We'll have some great instructors coming in. I know we have several um, tournament champions, like Fontaine's going to be coming back again, and we got the guru from India. We got some other stuff coming in, because there's a lot of stuff out there that will help us out and help everybody out. And that's the way we go. We continue learning.
Well, I had a couple things else, a couple other things I wanted to share, and one was that aside from making that decision to be a master instructor, is that a lot of people take on these things and they think that running a business has to be done a certain way. And I tell them, take a look at the franchise model. You'll see that they have managers and they have a marketing department. They have all these things, and you need those on a smaller scale. And that's the key to success, is by getting people who are great at what they do, doing that for you, so that they get great results for you. And it's more, I say that being a martial arts instructor is more about leadership and mentorship than it is about sales of any kind. And once you get comfortable with the fact that people expect that mentorship and leadership from you, then you're less likely to be hesitant about doing it. Just like the instructor training program. I had somebody mention to me, they're like, well, Richard, I don't have any assistant instructors. And I'm like, well, how many people are in your instructor training program? And he said, well, we don't have an instructor training program. And I said, well, check your email, because I'm going to send you one to follow. And he said that when he made the announcement in class, he was surprised at how many people wanted to do it. And I said, and do you understand that if you had not provided this opportunity, eventually they would have reached a point where they're like, I think I should be an instructor, and I'm going to go open my own school. And it wouldn't be one that was under your leadership or partnership. It would be in direct competition with you as a school owner. So it's better to help grow those people with those goals and have them as part of your system than it is to just pour your heart and soul into somebody, only to later on have them turn and become your competition because you failed to provide a path of leadership. And that's really the best route to take.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Wise words as well. And folks, there's a ask around. I know a lot of folks out there are training, and they're inspiring kids going out there. Parents, remember this: you're placing your student in another school. That's what I tell mine, which in the future they can use as a second vocation or as their primary vocation. So take it seriously when you're doing it. If you're out there just playing around going forward, as parents, do the same thing. You brought them over here for one reason, for them to learn, get self-confidence, and so on and so forth, maybe dealing with bullies. But along that path, things are going to start getting serious, to the point that they might continue growing within it. Later on in life, some of these schools will actually mentor them to become instructors in their own right, and for them to go out there and open schools and continue the flow of this emotion in a positive manner. And so also take that as that, you know, uh, there's a lot of professions, there's a lot of vocations that, because you were a martial artist, it enhances what you were doing. a lot of peace officers want to do martial arts because of that. If they had the training beforehand, they'll be better suited in their defensive tactics and in their vocation as peace officers. And there's so many different variants. So please, take note of that as well. And for being stressful out there, ask for help. If you have a friend that's a martial art instructor and you're seeing them go down that rabbit hole, please extend your hand and help pull them out. Pull them out. Please do that. And there's way too many in the community across the United States that we basically all know each other one form or another, and or we can touch base with somebody really. And there's so much help out there. Once more, I want to thank you for keeping this going and what you do. And folks out there, we'll leave you with some words from Grand Master and we'll cut the show. So you all stay safe and be well.
Yes, absolutely. And in closing, I would just like to invite you to subscribe to our channel if you haven't. If you haven't liked and commented this video yet, go ahead and do that now. And the other option on YouTube is that you can copy the link to share it. And I would email it to yourself first so that you can remember to watch this again, because there's a lot of things in here that are going to remind you to do self-care and other things that you need to be doing. And then also message it to a couple of friends who could use this advice as well. Because one of the greatest things you can do is share resources with people. And we consider this show a resource, and we're proud to provide it to the martial arts community. And in closing, I just want to thank you all again for watching, and we'll see you again next time here on the Fight for Your Health TV show.
Once more, be safe.